Hey folks, so it's time for another video. This one is brought to you by Cruz Banquet, because why not? There we go. Break that son of a gun open. It's brewed with 100% Rocky Mountain water. So at any rate, so this one I wanted to talk about an issue that came up yesterday, the day before, or something like that. So I was on the online screwing around. I couldn't help but notice somebody posted a tweet by Ted Cruz, and I was like, okay. Number one, I've never really had much of an opinion about Ted Cruz one way or the other. You know, he was just kind of there. I didn't really think anything of it. But the past few days, my opinion has really changed on the man, and not for the good. The other day, after net neutrality nonsense passed, the FCC chairman, Ajit Pai, or whatever his name is, him and the Daily Caller, which I think is an extension of the Ben Shapiro show or something. I can't quite remember, one of those conservative right-leaning, or no, maybe it's a guy from Fox News, Tucker Carlson, I think. It's somebody. But at any rate, he went and he made a video on their online presence. And in that video, he was talking about some things that you can still do on the internet, which, yeah, we all know you can still do that on the internet. They're just going to charge an extra fee for it now. He went on there and he was talking about things you can still do on the internet. And at some point, he came on and he was talking about things you can do. And he had a lightsaber. And I guess they're playing the Star Wars theme in the background. So he posts the video of him with the lightsaber, dancing around, acting a fool. And apparently that got some people upset. Rightfully so. So Mark Hamill post on Twitter, cute video, Ajit, aren't I precious pie? But you are profoundly unworthy to wield a lightsaber. A Jedi acts selflessly for the common man, not lie to enrich giant corporations. By the way, did you pay John Williams his royalty? I guess that was in reference to using the Star Wars score, which, if it wasn't, that video should have been flagged for copyright infringement, because God knows I can't post any copyrighted music on my videos. So anyway, Mark Hamill posts that. Whatever. It should have been pretty inconsequential. But it wasn't. Because lying Ted Cruz had to come in and be, well, we'll just look at his thing. So lying Ted Cruz responds and says, Luke, I know Hollywood can be confusing, but it was Vader who supported government power over everything said and done on the internet. That's why giant corporations like Google, Facebook, and Netflix supported the FCC power grab of net neutrality. Reject the dark side and free the net. Which I think is pretty stupid, because number one, I realize it's the internet, and I realize it's Twitter, so it's public, but Mark didn't necessarily ask for Ted's opinion. And number two, Ted's a senator. They're trying right now, as I'm recording this second right now, they're on the floor in the Senate debating the tax bill. So frankly, Ted Cruz kind of has more important issues to be doing than having Twitter spats with people on the internet. And number three, who does this guy think he is? Donald Trump? Trump's the only one who has ridiculous Twitter spats on the internet. We've already got enough of those. We don't need any more. But I guess Ted Cruz saw some sort of void that he needed to fill, and so he's gonna put himself right in the middle of it. So Ted Cruz posts that, and then Mark Hamill replies to that with, thanks for smarm-splaining it to me, Ted Cruz. I know politics can be confusing, but you'd have more credibility if you spelled my name correctly. I mean, it's right there in front of you. Maybe you're just distracted from watching porn at the office again. I'm sorry, but Ted Cruz is like burnt to a crisp toast at that point. I mean, that's a pretty bad burn, guys. That's a pretty bad burn. For those of you who are unaware, here a while back, Ted Cruz got in trouble for accidentally liking some pornographic material on Twitter. He retweeted it. And then, of course, it got taken down, and he said, it was one of the interns. Yeah, right. Sure it was, Teddy. Sure it was. But at any rate, I thought that was pretty good. So Mark just basically tosses an atom bomb, blows up the Cruz camp, and just keeps on walking. Meanwhile, Cruz responds with, yeah, that's it. So sorry to misspell your name. Respond not with facts, but with anger. Who was it that said fear is a path to the dark side? Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering, but he didn't have enough characters to add that part. Number one, Ted Cruz is a freaking moron who doesn't understand the concepts of how the internet works. So it wasn't until about 93 or so when the internet started becoming commercially viable for families and, just everyday normal people to jump on. It was gradually leading up with better bandwidth. The reason that we say, the reason that these fools are saying the internet was just fine before, just thinking back a little bit, I'm thinking back to 2013, 2014. I don't even think we even signed up for Netflix until, I want to say, 2013. It was right about the time when the first season of Orange is the New Black came out. I think that's when we fully jumped into the Netflix thing. And that's when we started taking interest in Netflix with the original series that they were producing and other things of that nature. Because up until that point, Netflix is pretty much garbage. They weren't getting shows or movies until years after they were out. They didn't have any good original content. Or anything like that. So really, Netflix Netflix really grew into their own the past couple of years, really. I mean, it's really recent that they've started really performing the way that they were. I still don't have Xbox Live, PlayStation Network. I don't use Steam. So, I mean, I'm putting these out there to say that there's still families that are still right now basically getting on board to these technologies, there's probably families right now that don't even stream anything at all on the internet. So it's ridiculous to say that the internet was fine before 2015 when a lot of this stuff people are just recently getting into. And if it's not for streaming movies and streaming games and that kind of thing, the internet would be pretty inconsequential. It really doesn't matter what FCC does and what measures are put in place and yada, 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 because anybody can surf the web, anybody can listen to Spotify, anybody can watch some YouTube videos. Those things don't take that much bandwidth to begin with. So if the ISPs or whoever throttle it, it doesn't matter. Then when we're talking about streaming, multiple episodes in, a burst of 4K content on Netflix, and when we're talking about playing hours of Call of Duty and things of that nature, those things do take a lot of bandwidth. And so it would be in the ISP's best interest to throttle those activities or to put those activities on a higher pay gap to make you pay more for them. So at any rate, what's really funny though is Mark Hamill never responded to Ted Cruz. I thought it was ridiculous because Ted Cruz is like, you need to respond with facts. You need to respond with figures. Mark Hamill's like, probably thinking in his head, number one, I didn't ask for your opinion, so I'm not going to respond with facts. It doesn't matter, Screw you. Like, buzz off, Zodiac. Nobody asked you. But I think what's even more ridiculous than this, though, is then we got Donald Trump Jr. chiming in with the peanut gallery, saying, Ted Cruz kills Luke Skywalker. Ha ha ha. Yeah, no, Ted Cruz did not kill Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill tossed the grenade of the porn bomb at him and completely obliterated his face off. To which Hamill responds, may the KGB be with you. Oh, brother. But at any rate, yeah. The whole entire thing is just so ridiculous. And I've really gotten a bad taste for Ted Cruz in my mouth. I was pretty indifferent on the guy, but this stuff just really shows how pathetic and low blow that he really is. Here's the tweet that I saw today while I was researching all this other stuff that really set me off, and really disgusted me. He says, "Snowflake believing online propaganda. OMG, without net neutrality, the internet is gone." Informed Observer responds, "You know, the FCC issued that rule in 2015. The internet grew up wonderfully free from government regulations, and there's restores a status quo ante." Snowflake responds, never mind. Yeah, no, the people crying about the internet aren't going to respond to that because the 2015 argument, again, as I stated earlier, is a moot point. Because up until 2015, the internet was completely different anyway. You know, I mean, and even leading up to 2015, the internet was kind of growing into its own. I believe right now we're kind of in a fourth wave of internet, and this wave is completely different than any other wave that we've ever seen in our history. I'm all for the government being out of our lives. I'm all for minimal government intervention. I'm all for capitalism and a free market. But when it comes to the internet, I kind of have a different opinion because of the previous video I posted. Pretty much none of us have options when it comes to ISPs. Like me, I only have one option only. If Cox tomorrow decides they're going to make me pay a separate package for Facebook and YouTube and Netflix, my only option is to either pay the price or turn off the internet and live in the Stone Age. That's my only option. I can't just call up AT&T and switch service. I can't just call up Comcast and switch service. The option isn't there. And if you don't believe me, watch my previous video where I posted that. I'll even leave a link at the end card for you to conveniently find it. It's such a preposterous, ridiculous thing that all these people keep on saying, oh, number one, the internet was free before. And if you don't like the way the rules are, you can just change providers. Yeah, we can't do that. I can't do that at least, and I know most of you can't either. Well, whatever. I don't want to keep on harping on this for much longer. I just want to show that ridiculous spat because it's really ridiculous that this whole net neutrality thing has people torn across party line. And what's even more ridiculous is of the people who are for it, majority of the people who are for it are conservative shills who are completely brainwashed by the Ben Shapiro's and the Milo Yiannopoulos and the Fox News and all this other stuff. Completely brainwashed because the man on the talking box tells me to. They don't sit and do any critical thinking and analysis for themselves to go, now why would this be a good idea? Why would this be a bad idea? You know, just stop and think about it, people. Why would it be a good idea to trust the internet and multi-billion-dollar corporations who only have their pocketbooks in mind? Why would that be a good idea? It's not a good idea. It's a terrible idea. I mean, it's a really ridiculous, sad state of affairs when me, who I feel like I'm pretty much a pretty decent libertarian, I would put more trust in the government having complete control of the internet than the ISPs. And that just tells us how much the ISPs are bending us over a barrel and screwing us. Because when somebody like me says that we'd be in better hands with the government than a private company, that says something. That says something as a sad state of affairs for the ISPs when they have people like myself who would rather put trust in the government than the ISP. And with that, cheers to you, Mark Hamill, for destroying Ted Cruz, lying Ted Cruz, the crook. And I guess thanks for watching and peace out.